This guy is a beast in this space, and I learned a lot from him. Actually, I've had him on our actual podcast, and I'm glad that he can come and give some game. We did a challenge or a webinar challenge recently, and man, he was giving a lot of games. So we're gonna go a little in depth on some of these questions. So that's the big thing, like the differences between starting with or without a job, or night and day difference. And so we'll get into it. So I'll let him introduce himself and kind of we'll get into the whole thing here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me again. All right, cool. So yeah, I go by the name CEO Moe. I'm based out of Detroit, Michigan, and I've been in the car rental industry since 2021. Again, guys, just like most of us, started with one car and then just built it from there. Right now, actually over 300 cars right now. So,
Sheesh.
yeah, and it's all cash vehicles as well, which is what I'm really specialized in. I don't do none of that finance stuff. I just buy them cash and just move on with it. You know.
Okay. So I know you. I only knew you since you had rental cars. So what were you doing before? Like, let's take it back before you got the rental cars. How were you doing things? And like, were you working a job? How was that going?
Absolutely, yeah. So I used to work at a Chrysler dealership. I was working at a Chrysler dealership for 8 years. I was a loop tech, which is the guys that do the oil changes, and then went from there, became a service technician. Then from a service technician, became a service advisor. That's really what I was doing. But in the process of doing all that, I've always flipped cars. Matter of fact, my background really is working on cars and flipping cars, and I've been doing that since '08. You know what I mean? So I worked at the dealership from 2013 all the way to 2021, which is when I actually quit. But yes, just working at a dealership, doing oil changes, and then I got introduced to the rental car business. From buying my first course, and I just kind of opened my eyes to renting cars. I used to flip them, still do, but never thought to rent them. So buying that course just kind of opened my eyes to a whole other big business that I never thought about, and I just kind of took it to the next level based on my experience and all the background that I had.
Boom. Okay. And then so when you got in the rental car space, let's talk about it because we were talking about it a little bit. What was like the win that when you first got in, you're like, okay, it's go time.
All right. So for me, I'm one of those people that I like to move really quick, right? I'm very impulsive, right? So when I bought the course, I kind of bust that course out like just a few hours. Same day, a few hours, boom, I went through the whole course. The very next day, I started looking for a car to buy. So I want to say on the third day is when I bought my first vehicle. When I bought the first vehicle, went through the process, getting it inspected, trackers, all that good stuff, insurance and all. Then listed it on hire car at the time when hire car was a whole thing. An hour later, once the vehicle got booked, that was my confirmation that we're onto something. And that's really all I needed to be like, this is gonna work. So like I said, after the vehicle got booked an hour later, after being on the actual website, I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is for me right here. So I just kind of, rinse and repeat, just kept on going.
Boom. So what was like the mindset of like when you first got, so if someone's watching this, they have a 9-to-5 job and they're like, I do want to do this other things, but I'm kind of scared to take that leap to get into whether it's a rental car space or just a different space, but they have the 9-to-5 job. They kind of have the curiosity to start, but they don't know how to get over that fear.
You gotta start with one. I feel like you don't need to just go all in, like go all crazy. Just start with one. So let's say if it's for example, if it's the car rental business, while you have a 9-to-5, save enough money to buy your first car cash or finance if you want to go whichever route you'd like to go to. But buy the first car, only one, try it out, see how you like it. Because at that point the risk is not that crazy versus a person that just goes buy 10 cars off rip while still being scared. You can't do that. I always tell people start with one to see if you even like the business, then just go from there.
That's key. That's key. I jumped right in. I jumped right in. We went to 1 to 14 cars in 90 days, and let me tell you, I should have took that route because it would have been a lot less stress, and that's key. So I know last time CEO Moe was talking about getting into the space and still working.
Yeah.
So you were working the job,
Yes.
you got the cars, and then you started doing Uber. Like, what was the time frame from when you started? You quit the job or how'd that work?
Okay, so this is what happened. This was back in, I like to go with dates because I try to remember everything. So this is back at end of 2021. That's when I bought my first course, which was about mobile homes, right? Because at the time I was really just trying to get my hands on anything. I'm like, bro, I got to do something. I don't know what it is, but I got to do something. Even though cars is what I know, cars is what I do, I still was just open to everything. So my first course was buying a mobile home course. You know what I mean? I bought that course.
A mobile home? I didn't know that.
Literally,
okay.
Mobile homes, though. I bought that course, went through it. I'm like, then I actually even was going to look at mobile homes, looking into buying them.
Oh, wow.
Literally, I did all that.
Okay.
I guess I never really told this story. But I'm looking into buying mobile homes. I remember one day drove a few hours went far out, checked out mobile homes, but eventually I got to realize this is not really my thing. Because while doing that, I still was working at the dealership, but at that point I cut down my hours from working 6 days a week to working 3 days a week there. And the four days out of the week, I was able to just kind of figure out what it is that I wanted to do. Because like I said, I was so focused on trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. But again, at the time, it was still pre-COVID, so I started doing Grubhub. So on the days that I'm working at the dealership, right after I get off work, I'll turn on the app and just start working, doing Grubhub from like 6 to 10 or 11 p.m. Then go vice versa. That's what I was doing every single day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? While still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. But in the process, I'm still buying cars and flipping because, like I said, that's just something that I've always done. So while doing that, fast forward, you know what I mean? I'm buying cars, flipping, and doing Grubhub. And then that's when I bought my first car while doing Grubhub. Matter of fact, I still got videos of me when I would go on live with Mitch.
Really?
While
Okay.
delivering food. Telling him, yeah, man, I'm about to deliver.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I still got all the recording, screen record, you know what I mean? So, again, I kept my job, at the dealership, doing Grubhub on the side, and buying cars, flipping, and still buying my rental cars. That's really how I started.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I kept a job. And I think it's very important to keep a job because a lot of people are so quick to say, I'm just going to quit. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you need to keep that job for as long as you can. For me, I kept working up until I had 60 cars. I didn't need to because 60 cars, that was doing well over $60K a month. I didn't really have to at all, but I did. And really what made me quit driving for Lyft at the time was because I didn't have the time anymore to pour into, to be able to drive and take care of my customers at the same time. So I really had to choose, and obviously the business made more sense. So that's when I quit. But before that, I was still driving for Lyft, and Lyft was paying for all of my bills.
That's good.
Even though I was doing well over $60K a month.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you basically phased out the job by cutting the hours first.
Yeah.
And then done away with the job completely. Mm-hmm. And then you got and started doing Lyft.
There we go.
And then you eventually had to focus on the business because you're the time, right?
Absolutely.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good fit. How long did that take? Like, how long was that the time period of like when you first started, when you had the job to when you quit Lyft?
So I quit Lyft in 2023.
2023.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
2023. So that's when I quit Lyft. I want to say April of 2023. That's
okay.
When I completely stopped. But before that, I was doing it every day. My wife will tell y'all. She'll come home on the weekends, you know what I mean? Like, because at the time when we first got married, she was still living out of state. Uh-huh. So when she would come, we'll see each other on the weekends or whatnot, or whatever days. On the weekends, I'm gone. I'm out driving till 3 in the morning. Now, again, mind you guys, I'm doing $60K a month.
Wow.
Still out here driving till 2, 3 in the morning on weekends. You feel me? But again, for me, it was just to focus on, I don't want to touch my business money to take care of my personal bills. I want to focus on my business to grow that business, because the way I look at it is a business is like a baby. The moment you stop feeding it, you're killing that baby. You know what I'm saying? You're hurting it. So for me, it was like, all right, we just got to keep feeding it. Even though, like I said, the numbers that I was seeing, I really didn't have to drive anymore. But I was like, now let me just keep driving.
That's
you know
good.
What I mean? But it also made sense too, because while driving, I'm drawing more customers to my business. So while driving, I'm making money on the front end, but I'm also making money on the back end, because when I'm giving people rides, I'm handing them business cards, telling them what I do.
I think I remember this.
You feel me?
I think I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, bro. To this day, I still have customers that are in my cars from when I was driving for Lyft.
And you just striking up a conversation.
You feel me?
And then they started. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to like get more exposure to your business.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great networking tool. Doing Lyft and stuff like that. Absolutely. I mean, you're meeting all types of people. So all you gotta do is just talk to them.
That's crazy. That's good. So now at scale, you have over 300 cars.
Yeah.
How do you like minimize liability? I've been thinking about this a lot since our last conversation. Like, how do you minimize liability with all these cars always out and different things like that?
So I went through different phases. At first, I was taking on any age. I mean, I'm talking about 19-year-olds. You feel what I'm saying? Then I went from the 19-year-old to, all right, cool, now we got to do only 21 and up. And even at 21 and up, we still were getting a lot of accidents. But now we are 23 and older. Even if you're 22 and 9 months, we're not giving you a car. So, like, I've seen a better clientele dealing with the people that are 23 and older, right? Mm-hmm. And again, my clientele is not like I'm only focused on the rideshare guys. I'm focused on anybody. You see what I'm saying? So like a lot of my customers are just the everyday people that just need a car to get back and forth. So I don't have tourists. I don't have none of that. I'm dealing with the locals every day. That's who I deal with. So for me, that's how I'm able to kind of really minimize the problems like accidents and stuff like that. Even though you can't really avoid those, it does happen. But for the most part, dealing with the locals and just, obviously you got to read your people too. Some people choose to do background checks. I don't. You know what I mean? We go based on vibes. You know, you get on the phone, you say, hey, yo, let me get this car. No, you ain't getting that car.
That's good. Wait a minute.
You know what I mean?
That's good. Okay.
Hey, so yeah, for us, we just kind of go with our gut feeling. You know what I mean? We're going to submit this form. We're going to look at your driver's license, look at your picture, based on the way you talk and area that you're living in and stuff like that. We kind of go off of that. You know what I mean? But
it's like a personal profile, basically.
Boom. That's what we do.
Okay.
Some people, though, they like the background route. But for me, I feel like based on the clientele that you get with the business that we do, if you focus on that background check, you're going to kill a lot of, customers. Like, a lot of people won't make the cut, even though in that mix, you could have a lot of good people.
Yeah.
You know.
So are you meeting most of these, or you're just some of your people on your team? Like, are they, the people on your team, are they trained to know, hey, this is the stuff that I look for, this is the stuff I look for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, man, now for the most, actually, I don't even look at who's getting the cars.
Okay.
My team just take care of everything. You know what I mean? So for me, my wife will tell you. In fact, some days people be like, "So what do you do?" No, I cannot tell you what is my job description. I just wake up, go to work. I'm doing a lot of stuff. You feel what I'm saying? But like the day-to-day stuff, if I happen to be in the area and something happens while I'm there, I'll jump on it and do what I need to do, help them out or whatnot. But for the most part, the whole, getting, figure out who we need to put in cars. Is it a yes or a no? My team is already trying to do all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So I know that you do Ford, Fusions?
Yes.
Okay.
Fusions,
so if I wanted to start today and I was like looking at Ford Fusions and I went on, what was the process that you would go through as far as just getting the car, a Ford Fusion?
Of course. So first thing first, I tell people, if you're getting started, try to stay in the range of the 2010 to 2012 Ford Fusion, right? Those models, that's the second generation Ford Fusion, because the Fusions came out in 2006. So 2006 to 2009 is one model. Then 2010 to 12 is a different model. Then 2013 and up, that's when they got that bigger body, the longer one or whatnot. So I tell people to focus on the 2010 to 12 models, the one specifically with the 2.5 engine. The reason why I like that 2.5 is because that engine is pretty much bulletproof. And if worst case scenario, anything were to go wrong with that engine, that's a $250 engine. So either way, you're doing good. You know what I mean? So those are the cars that I say for people to get. So let's just go to a process of me buying a car. I go on Marketplace. That's where I love to go find my cars. I do a lot of auctions too, but I do a lot of Marketplace where I like to go physically see the car, bargain on the price and whatnot. So I find the car, I message the person, they tell me to come see the car. I get there, looking at the vehicle. While I'm there test driving the car, I'm of course checking everything, you know what I mean? Make sure the windows, the radio, AC, heat, everything is working. Look at my tires, try to look at my brakes, look underneath the vehicle for oil leaks. Try to just find any type of wetness, you feel what I'm saying? Pop the hood, check your oil, make sure the oil isn't mixed with the coolant so it'll give you that creamy look. Whenever you see that creamy look, that means it's a blown head gasket for the most part. So you want to make sure you see oil rather than cream, you feel me? So I'm looking at all of those things. Now, okay, everything is good. I'm about to pull the trigger on buying this car. Now that's when I do my negotiation. After test driving the car, I've already tried to pinpoint everything that I see that's wrong with the vehicle. But again, with my mechanics background, I'm able to kind of nitpick more things and use that to my advantage to drop the price. If you wanted $4,000 for the car, now I found that the car needs 4 tires. Now I found that it needs suspension. Now I know it needs brakes, but I already know the numbers on top of my head of how much it'll cost. So now I'm going to bring that to your attention and let you know this is what I got to spend to make this vehicle up to date. So because of that, this is how much I'm willing to pay. You can make it make sense. That's up to you. Most of the time, people will feel very intimidated to give you the price for the car. That
bring your mic a little bit closer, my bad.
Oh,
there we go.
Cool.
You good?
So yeah, most of the time, people feel very, very intimidated, and because of that, they'll give you the car for the price that you're looking to get it for, just because you broke down everything. Now they feel like they don't have a choice.
Okay.
But to deal with you and just give it to you for that price. So that's how I do it. Next step. Now we agreed on a price. Boom. They're about to give me the title. I take the title, go straight back to the car. There's 2 places you can check for the VIN number to match it, because that's very important too. Again, guys, we want to make sure we stick with clean title cars, not salvage title cars. We want clean titles, vehicles that have not been in accident, no accident history or whatnot, right? So you take the title, go back to the car, driver's side door, sometimes on the inside of the door or sometimes on the actual body of the car, but the driver's side, there's going to be a tag over there, and that's how you can find the VIN number. Match it with the VIN number that's on the title. If for whatever reason that car, the VIN number is not on the door, which sometimes it does happen, that's usually a vehicle that's been in an accident, but it's been repaired, but they didn't put the tag back on. That's okay, no need to panic. Go in front of the car, on the driver's side of the vehicle, right by the windshield at the bottom, there's going to be another tag that shows you the VIN number. That's what you want to match with the actual VIN number that's on the title to make sure you're buying the right car, because it does happen.
People switch the VINs on the cars or the title?
The title. So, for example, somebody could just sell you a car that is a VIN number for, a title from a different car. So if you don't match it, you just bought a car. You just bought a piece of paper. Now you're gonna drive off with the car. Somebody gonna call the police. Say you sold their car.
That's good.
You feel me?
That's
so
a
you
good
want to
one.
make sure you match the VIN numbers. As long as VIN numbers checked out, like I said, you agree on the price, you pretty much get your money and just get your car and move on.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay. And then when we go to like you're renting cars, so now I'm sure you have like a big clientele that just kind of keep coming, right? You built your pipeline. At first you were using like platforms.
Yeah. So at first I was using Hire Car, right? Then I was renting my cars over Hire Car and pulling them customers out of Hire Car. I also did Turo too in the beginning. But any customer that I dealt with, I eventually will pull you out. And what I was doing was at first it was like, I was scared to do the private thing. So it's kind of like, hey man, this is working for right now. But then eventually I'm like, hold on. Because I was making $250 a week off of my Honda Civic from Hire Car. That's after everything. I'm like, that's $250 a week. So if I pull her out, because she told me how much she was making and how much she was paying them, it was like $500. I'm like, dang.
Hire Car's tax.
I'm like, that's a whole nother half. I'm like, all right, cool. So I hit her up. I'm like, hey, listen, her name was Tangela. I'm like, hey, Tangela, check this out. What if you just deal with me directly, and then I'll just charge you $350 out the door. She was like, bet. But again, at the time, I had to try to understand how insurance works because she was an Uber driver. So I was using Allianz. You feel me?
Yep.
Yeah, man. I was using Allianz and just using that, but I was kind of losing out still. I was still coming out close to what I was making off a Hire Car, but at least I felt like I didn't have a middle guy. But again, it's just the beginning. You had to figure things out to make it make sense. But that's what I was doing in the beginning. I would just pull them out, get them the Allianz insurance, pay the daily thing, pay for like 30 days. That's what I was doing. I remember it was like $330, I think, for
the month.
Yes, for the month.
Yeah, the day. Yeah, bro.
Yeah. But again, like I said, I was just doing any and everything just to make it make sense. But also, everything was like a learning process too. So while doing that, I'm understanding more on how I can do it better to be able to profit more. So,
yeah, that's good. That's a good setup. That's the play right there on how to actually get into the Fords and get into the car. He gave you the whole blueprint right there.
Pretty much how you can get started, really.
Okay. Now, so what do you think some of the biggest, when people are starting, what's like one of the biggest mistakes you think people make besides financing? I know financing, we don't talk about that, but just like picking the car, right? Like if we just stuck to cash cars and we stuck like, hey, I want to do this method. What is one of the biggest mistakes that people can make besides, I know you told them what to do, what not to do?
I think it's insurance. Insurance is one of the biggest things because most people will buy these cars and put them in their personal insurance and just start thugging them out and then try to add them as permissible drivers and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest mistake in my opinion because you're lying to your insurance company by just using personal insurance, but you're using the vehicle for commercial. That is something that you're not supposed to do. I get it. We do everyday stuff like that or whatever the case may be, but that's the biggest mistake, and that's how I feel like you can really get in trouble early on in the business, and it could actually turn you off. And again, in this business, it's very unpredictable. Things could happen every single day. You know what I mean? You're giving your cars to total strangers, so anything could happen. You know what I mean? Like, I done bought cars that on my first week of buying it, like after paying like $5 or $6 grand on the vehicle, first renter crashes it, totals it. That's a loss. Straight up a loss. Like, I've had a lot of those, you know what I mean? So imagine if that's you, but you have it on your personal side and word some way got out and your insurance got to realize you rented the car. Dude, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
So the first mistake I think is getting personal insurance on these vehicles that we're using for business.
Okay. You want to break down what a permissible driver is? People still, to this day, use this, and this is not a play. This is going to get you in trouble.
You feel me? So ultimately what people are doing is, let's say I got a vehicle that I'm about to rent to him, right? Then he hits me up, say, hey, I'm about to pick up the vehicle. Cool. Now I call my insurance company and tell them that I'm going to add this guy as a permissible driver on my insurance policy. Do you hear how crazy that sounds?
It sounds crazy.
I'm about to take a total stranger, add them to my policy. And I've done it before, but it didn't really work. I was trying it too. I called the insurance company, and that's when I've realized how many questions they asked you. They asked me, does this person live with you?
Yep.
I was caught off guard, I ain't gonna lie. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's my sister-in-law. Bro, I'm lying like crazy. So I'm telling them this is my sister-in-law
recorded
that lives
lie
with
too.
me. You feel me? So after they told me how much it was gonna be, which it wasn't that much difference, but I was so uncomfortable. I told them, you know what, I'll call you guys back when I figured out what else do I need. But yeah, they needed a bunch of information that I wasn't ready for. So that's really what permissible insurance is. You're adding a total stranger to your policy, and you're saying that this person lives with you.
Yeah.
That's how the only way they're gonna get coverage. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So no, absolutely. I think that's a big mistake. I think people should just get commercial insurance right off rip, call it a day. Because if you get that, it's for the rental car business. They know what you're doing. You ain't got nothing to hide or be worried if anything happens. So yeah.
That's key. Yeah, you guys don't want to be talking to the insurance company saying that stuff. But the key thing is you recognized it. When you felt that, see, a lot of times people are doing business and they feel that weird feeling, like almost like you're getting all warm, like someone's calling you out. And some people still do it for the little bit of money. But in the long term, if you're doing that in insurance and you're giving different addresses, it's not good. You're basically doing insurance fraud at that point. So that's key. That's key, the commercial insurance. So last time I had you on the actual podcast, we talked about one thing which I thought was really interesting, because most people want to make claims on their own insurance for whatever reason, because they're like, don't worry, I'll do the claim on my insurance. And I'm like, that's never smart. You want to break down why, like, break it down, your thesis.
So the reason why I'm really not for making claims, again, some people still do, but this is what works for me. I don't make any claims because every time you make a claim, it's counting against you no matter what. Whether you got 3,000, however the amount is, every time you make a claim, it goes on something called a loss run report. And your loss run report is pretty much your report card for the insurance companies. And it is not just for your insurance company. When it's time to switch over into a new insurance company, they're going to ask for that report. And that's how they can determine whether you are liability or high risk or just somebody that they can actually take in. So just that right there, that piece of information, knowing that, is going to really make you really rethink this whole insurance thing. And another thing that people don't know is when you have insurance, right? Every year, at the end of the year, when it's time for them to renew your thing, they're doing an evaluation of your report to see, all right, cool. Did we pay out more on this person, or did we actually make money? So did we lose? Did we get close? If they're close to losing, you're getting dropped. If they definitely lost, you're definitely getting dropped. You know what I mean? So I always want to keep my loss run report very clean. And pretty much I let my insurance handle things that I don't have control over. Mm-hmm. So like the liability aspect of it. But as far as it comes to collision, I eat all of it. And that's what works for me, and that's just how I've been doing it. And I feel like that's how I'm able to stay in business for so long, based on the way I do business.
Okay, so if somebody started like at scale, okay, because you're making more money, I think like, okay, if I just started and maybe I have one car,
yeah,
and I bought it cash, they can go get like some sort of business insurance or commercial insurance, right? Yeah. How would they like operate, right? What would you recommend if I have one car and I'm like, I'm a little bit nervous about renting private rental. I want to do it because I'll make more money. Mm-hmm. But like, what do I do to prepare when someone messes my car up?
Yeah, so you can go different ways with that. First, you can actually rent to people that only have insurance. There are those people out there. So if they have insurance, when an accident happens, you make a claim through their insurance. That's how you can be protected if you are that nervous person that you're scared. So let's say you are the person that's like, well, I still want to just be open to the public. That's when you need to have a very good rental car agreement that's going to explain the do's and the don'ts and what happens in an event of an accident. So like for me, I have $1,000 deductible. It's non-negotiable. There's $1,000 no matter what you do to the vehicle. You come back with a dented fender, you owe me $1,000. You come back with a mirror falling off, you owe us $1,000. So there's just something, you just need to have something in your agreement that's going to say that, where everybody have an understanding on what would happen when things go wrong. So for the new person, that's what I would suggest. Make sure you have some type of deductible. That way, if anything happens, at least you can go try to get something from them. And of course, always take a deposit. Let's not do that. Oh no, 0 deposits. That's crazy. Don't do that. So.
How much do you do deposits for, like on like a cash car?
My deposits are $300.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But let's say in an event where I have a customer, it's a decent customer. We might have gone to some repos. This is kind of a bit of a story at the same time. We might have gone to some repos with this person, but I know they'll be back. Because they were decent, but things hit the fan at some point. They don't want to return the vehicle we reported. If you come back next time and you need us, your deposit is double now.
Okay.
Take it or leave it.
Okay.
You hear, oh man, I need a car. No problem. $600 for you. Why? You're a high risk customer. you got to remember, we don't need you. You need us more than we do. So in order to do this, we got to make sure it only works for us.
Right.
We're going to be less risk than you. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's what I want to know. So, like, when you do private rentals and do you do daily pays or is it weekly or how's that?
So for me, only weekly. I don't do daily rentals. Oh my God, that would be such a headache. That would be too much of a headache.
Yeah.
You know, especially with as many cars that I have, I know for a fact we'll forget to send somebody an invoice somewhere. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, I've been thinking about this. I'm like,
too much.
How are you doing that? Like, how would you even do that? Because I think we talked about last time about some of the cars that got missing and different things like that. I'm like, okay, hot scale at 300 cars. So you don't do dailies, you do the weeklies.
Yep.
Okay. How do you handle, like, do you like have accounting software? Do you use like accountant?
Yeah.
Or how do you do that every week?
So I use a software called Connect Pro. That's what my wife she built it off of my business.
Okay.
And then that's the software that we use that pretty much automates everything. So let's say if you give us a call, the second you give us a call and we add you into our pipeline or whatnot, now your number and everything is in our system. So everything is going to be automated from there. So let's say if you picked up the car on a Monday, next Monday morning, you're going to receive a text that's going to ask you if you're renewing or extending. You know what I mean? And we don't have to physically go do it. So everything is just in that same pipeline, and that's how we're able to keep track of that. Now, if we were to do daily rentals, we can use the same thing, but I just feel like it's too much.
You'd have to send like automated text messages every single day.
Yeah,
with like the invoice attached.
There we go, with the invoice attached. So they get an invoice and all that stuff, you know what I mean, at the same time. But yeah, that's how we just run it, and with that system, it makes things a lot easier.
How long? I think we talked about this a couple of times. Yeah. How long have you been doing like a system that's been more automated?
Oh my God, 2 years? Wait, 2.5, almost 3 years now.
Okay.
Almost 3 years. Before that, oh my God, it was ghetto as hell. So I had, which I've talked to a lot of people, they still doing this, which is hilarious because I used to save all my customers' numbers on my phone. So like if you check on my phone right now, if you go on the contacts and you type Fusion, oh dude, it's gonna be James Blue Fusion, Mike Black Fusion. Bro, they still on my phone. You feel what I'm saying? And that's how I used to do it. So what I was doing was every night, so let's say the people that I do tomorrow on Tuesday, Monday night around 10 p.m. or whatnot, my wife will tell y'all, I'd be in bed and I'm just like, oh my God, I need to get my invoices ready. So I make all my invoices manually, schedule text messages for every day at 9 a.m.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was doing for the people that I do on the next day. That's exactly what I was doing. I did that for a while. While she was watching me doing it, she was like,
did you have like 100 cars then?
Man, what? No. At the time, no. Before we started using the system, I think maybe 50. Okay. 50, 60.
But even at scale, that's a lot of text messages.
Hell yeah, it is, man. What? And that's how you gonna miss customers. And in this business, if you miss a customer, you send them an invoice, they will not pay. They gonna act like, oh well, I didn't know. Yeah.
They gonna be like, man, this is my lucky day.
You feel me?
My prayers has been answered.
I swear. So yeah, now you gotta be on it too. You gotta be on it. You don't send an invoice, some will not pay. Most actually will not pay. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to pay. Oh, I forgot. It's crazy.
It's Friday. It's time to pay. I didn't remember.
Yeah.
I didn't get the invoice. That's good.
Or some will say, you didn't send me an invoice.
So it's your fault.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so have you dealt with like chargebacks and stuff like that?
So
early on, because some people don't know. Some people are using whatever systems and like PayPal or Stripe. You get charged back after somebody's been renting your car for 2 months.
Yeah. So I did deal with chargebacks in the beginning when I was using this app called Invoices.
That's a little orange app?
Yes.
I was using that. Maybe you told me. I'm like, who told me about this app? It was hooked to PayPal.
Yep. There you go. So that's when I really got introduced to chargebacks. So again, everything for me is like a learning thing. So everything that I talk about, I literally been through it. You feel me? So for me, what happened was customer comes and rents a car, and every week I would send them the invoices, whatnot. And they were able to just use a debit card to make the payment or credit card, whatever the case may be. It never raised any red flags to me because he worked at the time until one guy rented with us for about a little over 2 months, brought the car back. As soon as he brought the car back, 2 weeks later, he does a chargeback on everything, right? So we found out exactly what he did. So my man, when it was time to make his payment, so let's say his name is Mike. When Mike is making his payment, he's using Joseph's credit card.
Yep.
So now Joseph is the one that's paying for this rental. Now, when Joseph does a chargeback at the end of it all, and I try to submit a dispute, try to fight it back, I have to obviously provide the rental agreement and license. Nah, but I'm sending Mike's information, not
Yep.
Joseph. So Joseph could be like, bro, I'm nowhere near this thing. What are you guys talking about? I never did this. That's how Joseph's gonna win, and you just lost that one. Now.
That's
You
lit.
feel what I'm saying? So I figured that out. I was like, whoo, no more of this. So I completely cut that out, and I went straight Cash App and Zelle. Zelle,
Yep.
you can't do a chargeback.
Yep.
Cash App, not really. You know what I mean? Not really. Let's just leave it at that. So I just focused on that. So my payment methods was Cash App, Zelle, and Cash. That's it. And I was doing Apple Pay too. And Apple Pay eventually kicks you off when you make over 100 grand in 1 year on that platform. So
Yo.
blocked my account.
Yo, I told you about that story, Apple Pay, when I was using one iPhone and I was getting money and I was like, oh, they sent the money to my other iPhone, I guess. So I was like, okay, I'll make an account there. And what happened is it didn't happen right away, actually. So I had 2 accounts. Then one day after a renter paid me, locked my account. And Apple didn't even tell me they just sent the money back. Like other banks, other places just lock your account. They sent them the money that they just sent me. So now I have a renter with the car. They just got the money back. And I have to say, hey, this is a funny story, but I need you to send me the money again. And they were just like, yeah, no comment. So I had to repo that car. So that's good. The Cash App, we use Cash App, Zelle.
Mm-hmm.
Apple Pay is finicking.
Yeah.
Cash App, they don't do chargebacks, but they can dispute it. And they'll mess your Cash App up. I had a Cash App for like 4 years. And one day I went to try to send money and it was sending a message every time I try to send money or someone send money to me, and they would say, this is a suspected fraud payment, or this is some sort of message, so it would reverse it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is to protect you. And every time it would send the renter the money back.
That's crazy.
So yeah, Cash App can if you have enough disputes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there we go. So yeah,
that's good.
for me, I don't do no credit cards and not like that.
Okay.
I just don't want to give everybody the chance to do so.
How do you find, I mean, I know you have like a background in understanding like maintenance and stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you find, not as far as the parts, because I know we talked about that before, but as far as like, I feel like a team is important. So like, if I just start and I get the car, which most people do, they just get the car.
Mm-hmm.
What am I looking at for, like, if I'm going to go to a maintenance shop, or is there anything specific you're doing when you're looking for like a mechanic?
Yeah, so mechanics, it's always good to have multiple mechanic shops that you deal with, not just one. Because you're going to have these guys that are just really good at replacing parts, right? These guys, they're just the R&R. Boom. The car will come in its brakes, they're going to knock it out quick. Then you need to have your mechanic shop that is really good with engines and electrical and stuff like that. So for me, pretty much I have all of those. I have the guys that, like I said, it's just mechanical work, like just the basic stuff. Those are the quick, hey man, I got a customer that's coming on your way. They're on their way to you right now. They need to do brakes. Can you take care of it right away? They'll take that car right away. Just like I have this guy that he does my engines and transmission. This dude, all he does for me, engines and transmissions. His prices are really good, but I give him so much work that what I pay for these engines is like pennies on a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you just need to have all of those. You can't just have one, because a lot of people will just be like, oh, I'm just going to have one mechanic shop. No. Absolutely have more than one, because they all good at different things as well. But you make sure you diversify, just having different ones that are really good at what they do in a certain aspect of the business. Because like I said, you can't just go to the guy that does everything. He's going to get backed up, and he's not going to prioritize your work.
You're right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're
but
right.
if I have multiple guys, this is just the brake and suspension guy. I know every time I send him, my car's going to be in and out, versus him just doing everything.
Yeah.
And then I'd be overwhelming him with work.
Right.
So always have more than one.
That's good. That's a good tip. I actually had a mechanic that was good at fixing everything, but this one thing he just was not good at. It was the turbo.
There you go.
He fixed the turbo and it did not get fixed. Let's put it that way. So we had to go to a different shop that magically fixed it. And he kept saying, this is my guy for a long time. So I'm like, what do I do? Not go to him, but he won't do turbos anymore. That, I guess, scarred him. So in a situation you have to go repo a car. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked, how do you get your extra key back?
I mean, a lot of times you do get it back. Now I will say there are some situations you don't get it back, but a lot of times you do, because most of the time when you're repoing a car, you obviously want to make sure you do it either late at night or early in the morning when nobody's there, so you don't have to deal with anybody. You grab the car and be gone. Most of the time there's going to be stuff in there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So what I do is we're very strict with this. any car that gets repoed, when the customer wants to get their stuff back, always meet them at the police station. I don't care how cool they are. I don't care who you are. We're meeting at the police station. Man, we ain't got to do that. Yeah, we do. Let's meet up there. You know what I mean? That's just going to minimize if they were to do anything or even had any kind of...
Are you guys like meeting them in the police parking lot?
Yeah, police parking lot.
Okay,
yep,
okay.
Just in the police parking lot, kind of make sure you get close to the front door type deal.
Yep.
You know, meet up with them there.
That's
Everybody
good.
show up. And of course, before they get anything out, they need to hand you that key first. They have to hand you that key first. Now, sometimes you'll have situations where the customer might have emptied the car because they kind of expected it anyways. That's the person that you might have a hard time getting your key back, because some will just be like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this key, try to screw them over. First of all, you're losing your deposit. And the key doesn't cost as much. But again, it depends what kind of car you have.
Yeah.
But that'll be the same person that you'll call and be like, hey, listen, bro, this is what we can do. You give us the keys, we'll give you $50 or $100, whatever number you're comfortable giving up. But that's how you can do to get your keys. And most of the time it works for us.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Before we let you wrap it up, let's do this. Run through like your process. I know your process has changed over time, but like, what's the process when you like have to go repo the car? Like, what's that process look like? Like, let's just say, again, I'm at like 1 or 2 cars and I have an extra key, which you guys need to have an extra key, I think. When you have an extra key and someone keeps your car, now let's assume they have a kill switch for this scenario. How do people need to handle it? Because I know at scale, like we use people we have tow trucks in some of the cities that we're in, and then some of the cities we don't. So it's a different process. What do you guys do?
So for me, I do both. Sometimes I use tow trucks, but most of the time we go pick it up. And the process, this is how it goes. You got 24 hours to make a payment. If your payment is late 24 hours later, especially when there's no communication, we're picking up the car first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? We're picking up the car. And what we're doing is, like I said, obviously the vehicle has been disabled. You know what I mean? So it might have been sitting for a few hours or whatever the case may be. Then once you pull up to where the vehicle supposedly is, first you want to do a quick drive-by. You want to pull up first to see the scene. You want to make sure the vehicle is parked somewhere that you can get to, because sometimes people will try to do some stuff where they'll park the cars in between cars to get it blacked in because they know what's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't want to just pull up, turn on, enable the kill switch, and the car is unable. Now you can't get to it because, as we all know, these kill switches, it's not like you click and it just works. You have to do that and wait for it to eventually get connection. Sometimes it works fast. Sometimes it could take a while. You feel what I'm saying? But ultimately, you want to see the vehicle first, make sure you can actually get it out. And then that's your first drive-by. As soon as you've seen it, as you're driving past the vehicle, that's when you want to obviously work on enabling it. By the time you turn back around, the vehicle should be enabled. So you just pretty much pull up. Obviously, there's going to be 2 of you guys or 3, however you want. Pull up. Somebody gets in the car, starts the car up, and just go. That's it. There's no talking. There's no, let me go knock on the door. Maybe they'll give me the key. Don't do that. Never do something like that unless it's somebody that you might be comfortable with. Even that I still don't recommend, because people do switch. You just never know. The best bet is get your car, be gone. I'll meet up with you at the police station. We ain't got to worry about nobody trying to do anything crazy.
Boom.
So, yeah.
Boom. Okay, we got 2 more questions. I have a question for me. So how are you dealing with renters? Like, do you have an idea of like when renters are going to stop paying you? Like, do they start slowing up, stop being communicative? Like, because we have that problem a lot where we have renters that are like, we can sense it when they start to fall behind on a payment once. Yeah. So we made a way that we have 1, 2, 3 like different rules. If they hit this, they get out of this. You know what I mean? So what do you think about, like, how do you guys handle that when renters slow down?
So for us, it depends. If you've been with us for a very long time, because a lot of times it starts with excuses. They're going to start giving you excuses. My paycheck is delayed. I didn't get my pay yesterday, which is crazy, because I'm like, I've had a job before. My paycheck never missed. So is this something new? I'll be wondering. I'm like, is this something new? Because I hear that a lot.
Me too.
Paycheck, my boss didn't give me my paycheck. So you mean to tell me you worked all weekend? That's crazy. All right, cool.
It's late.
You feel me? And a lot of those people, though, the second you disable the vehicle, somewhere, somehow, they find the money. So that just goes to tell you they already had the money. Now, this is usually what I think and what I really believe happens. They'll have the money, they have the opportunity to pay for it, but now they're like, all right, cool. Let me see if I can get away with this so I can take this money and put it elsewhere. But they do have the money.
Right.
Now, if you decide to be weak and give them a choice or feel bad, that's when they're going to get over you. So for us, most of the time, the way we deal with stuff like that is, the second we start getting excuses, we will get on the phone with them and let them know, like, hey, listen, this is such and such. This is where you kind of get a little personal with them. Hey, listen, let's put business aside. I've known you for quite some time. You've been dealing with us for a long ass time, but I just need you to understand one thing. This is one thing that I'm gonna do for you because of who you are, but it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So this week, rather than you paying Monday, let's say we're letting you go until Wednesday with no late fees that will, you got to let them know this is what you're doing for them. That way, if next time they're about to do that and you actually take the harsh action, which is I'm taking my car, you can't be mad at me. Last week, I told you this and I gave you $100 off, which was supposed to be the late fee. I completely dismissed that and I completely not taking my car from you. I did all of these things for you. They just need to understand what you're doing for them. And once they do understand that, then when it's time to take the legal action or whatever you need to do to get your vehicle, then you don't have to worry about them feeling some type of way or things just going out of hand. But even if it does, it don't matter. I already told you.
Yeah.
We both understood. We know. And it's on a recording.
Some boundaries, some healthy boundaries.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. And then just one last question. So I know we went over this, so you'll get this in the replay but they talked about, do you hold your own insurance on the car or just use the client's?
For me, since I have commercial insurance, that's just what I do. I never use client insurance. Most of my customers don't even have insurance. So, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, so for me, that's how I do it.
Boom. Easy. Okay, cool. You want to let them know where they could find you on social? And
yeah, so my Instagram is Cash Car Rental King.